What up? Welcome to day 5 of Admin of Code, where I'm going to walk through my solution. So, for part 1, they tell us the notation x bar y means that if both page number x and page number y are to be produced as part of an update, page number x must be printed at some point before page number y. And so the ELF gives us page ordering rules and the pages to produce in each update. So this first section specifies the page ordering rules, and the second section specifies the page numbers of each update. So each row represents an update full of page numbers. So our task is to identify which updates are already in the right order and then add up the middle page numbers of each of those. So it says, what do you get if you add up the middle page number from those correctly ordered updates? So let's go to our code. You can see here, if we go to day 5, I have the input and the test input alongside my script. And if I print them, we get exactly what was shown. So over here, I'm going to get the rule text and the update text. So if you remember, they were separated by a new line, which means that there's 2 new lines here. So I can get these by taking the entire output. So I can say f.read to get the entire file. And then I can split by a double new line. And so if I print both of these. So to get our rules and our updates from our 2 blocks of text, we're going to want to split them by the correct characters and then map int to them, right? So for each rule, let's get the rules. We can say, let's map int to the rule split by the vertical bar for each rule in rule text split by new line, just like this. And for each of the updates, we want to do the same thing, right? We're going to split it by comma this time. And then we're going to get each update by taking the update text and splitting it by new line. But first we want to make sure that we strip the new line from the end of the file. And make sure we're printing rules and updates. And so we see we print our rules and our updates as expected. So now let's pass them into part 1, right? Let's pass our rules and updates and add them as parameters. Now that we have our rules and our updates parsed, we want to see which of the updates are ordered correctly and then add up their middle numbers, right? So if you remember, this notation meant that x must go before y in an update, right? So let's use a map to keep track of which number should go before the others, right? So I'm going to use something called default dict. So I'm going to call it must go before. I'm going to use something called default dict. It's in the collections module, and I'm going to have it with an initializer of set. This means that when I access it for the first time, it'll initialize to an empty set, and so I can just add stuff to it without having to worry too much about initialization, right? So for each before and after in our rules, I want to say, hey, this after, right? This before has to go before this after. So I'm going to add it to our set. So once this loop is done, we'll know all the numbers that should go before each key, right? We'll have a dictionary which maps each key to all the numbers that should go before it. So once we have our map, now we can check each update to see if it satisfies our constraints, right? So we could say, let's initialize a total to keep track of our middle number sum. And then for each update, in updates, we're going to check each number and see if all the numbers that come after it follow the rule, right? So I'm going to say for I num enumerate update. If any update j, so any number that comes after num is in must go before num. Right, so I'm gonna do this for each j which comes after I. Just like this. Then we should break, right? We should just exit out of this for loop completely and skip it. Otherwise, if we get through this whole for loop, which means that all the numbers passed, that means the update's in the correct order. And so we should add the middle number, right? We should say total plus equals update, like the update up to. Just like that. And then we should return our total. Let's try it on the test input and see if the test input is correct. So we got 143. Looks right. Let's try it for our regular input. And we get 5129, which was the correct answer for part 1. So now let's look at part 2. For each of the incorrectly ordered updates, we should use the page ordering rules to put the page numbers in the right order. So what do we get if we add up the middle page numbers after correctly ordering just those updates? That is, we should take only the incorrectly ordered updates, order them correctly, take their middle page numbers. Let's also pass rules and updates into part 2. Just like this. And let's do the same thing that we did in part 1 with this dictionary right here. Actually, this whole loop is going to look pretty similar. We should notice that all the updates are pretty short, and so we can actually just afford to sort them explicitly. We could even afford to sort the ones that are sorted correctly, right? And that could be an easy way to check. So the real question is, how do we sort them in the correct order? We can use a tool from Func Tools called comp2key. So I'm going to look that up real quick. And if we go to comp2key, we see that we can take a function which takes in 2 numbers. That is one that takes in 2 arguments, compares them, and returns a negative number for less than or a positive number for greater than, and use it as a key for our sorted function. So we know how to construct this pretty easily, right? We say, hey, if it must go before, then it's less, right? So let's take our update, and we can make a sorted update simply by saying, take our update and put it in sorted. Or we're going to use a key, which is comp2key of, it's going to take in 2 numbers, num1 and num2. And it's going to return -1 if num1 is in must go before num2. Otherwise, we should just say it's greater than 1. right? And so if update equals sorted update, we should continue because it was already in the correct order. But otherwise, we should take that middle number and add it to our total, right? So right here, we should replace this update with sorted update. It's like that. See how that goes. Puzzle answer was 4077. Thanks for watching. If you want to see daily LeetCode solutions, come join my Discord where we post nearly every day. And yeah, have a good one.